All right, cool. Well, welcome to the Beyond Cinema studio at Sundance, Aaron, Damien, Maya.
Thank you.
Congratulations, the film premiered here the other night. How did it feel? Because you screened in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's right.
Different feeling completely, or did it feel like, like a universal kind of response?
Yeah, look, so we when we played in Melbourne, we had our premiere and then we had a midnight screening. But to premiere here at midnight, at the Egyptian on that first Friday night, well, it was an amazing experience. So the midnight audiences are fantastic, I mean, anyone that shows up for a movie at midnight is up for it.
Right.
And I think this film, people get vocal. And there are certain points where people are, gasping and crying out and, clapping.
Cheering.
The other night, just last night actually at Salt Lake City, we just had this crazy applause in this moment in the film. But the reaction and the enthusiasm over here has been fantastic.
Yeah, and just as a filmmaker, working on the other side of the planet, working your way through short films and building your team, to then have them all assembled here at Sundance, which is pretty much the biggest name in indie film. Must feel like pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm so glad that I can share it with these guys and the little crew that came over, and it really has felt like a special experience. I mean, Sundance talk about it, being like a family of filmmakers, and it's such a filmmaker-focused festival that you really feel that. They've been so incredibly supportive.
This is what I really kind of dig from kind of looking back across the films you've made is that, you work with Aaron again since on Hitchhiker, Simon Chapman is time and time again stuck together as a crew, even Lee Curtis as a composer, you worked with early on, brought back. And so it just really feels like you kind of cultivated this team that's gone with you. A lot of people, when they make their first feature, when they get funded, they're like, screw you guys.
Yeah, and that was, Joe and I have been working on this project, for over 10 years now. So it's been a long-term thing, and I think it's great because you just kind of cultivate that creative shorthand when you work with people before and you understand what they like and they get you. So it's been great, and for the film to come here has been like such a fantastic reward for everyone. I think it was after short number 5 that Chappie said, maybe it's about time we did a feature.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sick of these shots, man.
I'm like, I'm trying. Yeah.
It's also pretty interesting. You look at the people in the film in terms of even character names like Margaret and Ian, and everyone's got regular names. Except the villains. German and Chuck. Such specific names. Whenever I say Chuck Raffle in the US, people are what? But tell me about very specific names to choose. What went into German and Chuck?
Yeah, well, they're nicknames. So it's Scotty German Shepherd and Todd Chuck Fowler. So there's a point in the film where those guys are talking in the bathroom and the local cop comes in and sort of says, hey, it's Shepherd and Fowler. Right. But I guess that's an Australianism, that kind of a nickname persisting.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of, for me, it was a nickname that kind of hinted at the wild, animal kind of nature of these guys. So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Do you guys speak about that when you're talking about the film? Do you talk about where characters' names come from?
Well, it's kind of filtered into our characters, I mean, Aaron Pedersen started just running around going, yeah, chuk, 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 chuk. He's doing that, and then it's kind of firing me up and getting me under my skin, and it kind of filtered in. It really infected the way I acted, and even my haircut, because I've got a cowlick right there. So when they shaved my head, I had this little thing in the front, like a little rooster or something, and so it worked really well.
And also, I think we talked about, Chuck's not the most flattering nickname, and a kind of obvious one for Fowler. But it felt like the kind of nickname the character was given at high school and sort of stuck. Yeah.
It is Year of the Rooster, Chinese. So big
It's
things.
your year, buddy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Time of the chicken.
Yeah.
It was also I'm going to cast this movie, and you go through your list, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy went to blah, and this guy went whatever, and then the villains. Okay, I'm going to open the phone book, start with the letter A, 2A.
Yeah. Just get the errands in. Like, let's just
yeah.
keep this
Give them a
short.
call,
Yeah.
they both said yes, we're done.
Yeah,
Totally.
I went into the trailer at one point and there was a little, everyone's had their toothbrush on the wall and it was like A1, A2.
The visual references, like people refer to this movie, and I'm not sure if this is something kind of your press team put out there, like in order to help people relate to it. But obviously, like in the reports that have come out, the positive reviews have been amazing. Obviously, people talk about Straw Dogs, they talk about Deliverance, they talk about Funny Games, Haneke's film, again, like all amazing films, obviously. Australia has its own visual reference from the period, kind of like a Picnic at Anchor Rock, or People Go Missing. It's kind of Australia's first kind of international hit. When you guys are sitting down in terms of visual references, is that are like any of these kinds of films mentioned at all, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Simon and I sort of sat down and watched, some of those films, and some of them for reasons that you might not kind of expect. I mean, we watched Deliverance, not so much for its kind of thematic content, but also about, well, how do you treat the daylight to give it that mood and that feel? And I think when we were watching that film, we were really surprised about how long they held the coverage. So there was a lot of choreography in the frame, and that was something that we were trying to do as well. Was to try and see how much we could get away with before we cut, because I think that's part of creating suspense. As the audience is waiting for you to cut away, and there are some scenes in that film where we hold, and so those things definitely informed us, and sometimes in surprising ways. But also, we looked at those kind of Australian impressionists and that view of the bush, and how to. Just how to kind of convey that feeling, because the place is a really important character in the film for me.
And that reads like absolutely. It's like you're looking at the bush and you're seeing like those old kind of triptychs that you looked at when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of an awful triptych.
It's beautiful and horrible at the same time. So evocative, that landscape.
Well, you were on the set of Wolf Creek, obviously.
Yeah.
As well, right? So.
Well, the funny thing is, it's interesting you were asking about references, because Damien was really clear about references. So when we first met, he said, check out these films, and I'd never seen Straw Dogs, and I there's so many scary movies I've never seen because I'm such a lightweight. I hate scary movies, and so I did a kind of a marathon where I was watching Funny Games, both versions, and Wolf Creek, and Straw Dogs, and I could barely close my eyes at night. I was so scared. They're such intense films.
Yeah. So talk about like choosing those locations. You read it at the end. It's like Simo's being like did you do a bunch of scouting, or did you know like in your head like, oh, I came here as a kid?
No. So Joe and I, my producer Joe and I, we did lots of trips, out into national parks here and there, and we'd be looking on Google Earth, and you'd go, okay, there's a trail here, and you'd drive down this rickety trail, and you'd get to a fire gate, and be like, oh, okay, couldn't see that from Google Earth. But actually, my wife Rachel, she saw this spot, and said, why don't you check out this place? And I had thought that this is going to be easy, just 2 tents by the side of a river. How hard could that be to find? But actually, when you look at it, the action required a really kind of specific geography, so the tents had to be far enough away from the place where they park the car that they can't be seen, and then the space itself had to be so beautiful that, you've come this long way, and despite the fact there's somebody else there, you're going to stay, like it's worth the effort. And then the tents had to be kind of close enough so that one was always present, but not so far away that it's like, who cares if they're down there? So actually it became really specific. So we found this place, Simo's Beach. It's on the Georges River. Literally 100 metres that way there are houses. So there were like steel stairs that led down to that beach, and a concrete path. The access, the amenities, all that was fantastic. Just happened to be next door to Holsworthy Army Base, where they conducted live fire exercises. So like when we weren't shooting, they were shooting, and they had tanks, machine guns, helicopters, like the works. So my sound recorder is Francis Byrne. I own him big time. And we also had an arsonist who was trying to light the place up while we were there. So
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Wow.
So day 2, we're
I
walking.
thought that was your friendly word for your lighting crew.
Yeah, no.
You know, like
Yeah,
you
the
call,
onset
like, Yeah, you
arsonist.
call the carpenter a chippy.
Like the
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
wrangler.
Yeah.
Sparky.
Yeah. No, this was a friendly local
Legit
trying to burn the
arsonist.
place down.
Wow.
You know, so we got. I think the only thing that saved us was we got slammed with rain, which was its own nightmare.
But it kept putting out the fires.
But that's right.
That's
They
good.
couldn't get it alight. So I remember we had shot a pivotal scene, and then I had a look at it, and I wanted to go back and get a couple of pickups. We came back to the spot, it was black, like burnt to the ground. Fortunately, those were kind of like tight close-ups, so it's like, okay, bush is bush. We can do that over there. But yeah.
It just goes to show it's really not safe in the Australian bush.
Yeah.
Well,
Anything can
Americans
happen.
are worried about it anyway.
Yeah.
They're like,
We
"This
just
can kill you."
we like to play on that fear.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to do a friends and family screenings for the people who live in their houses around that beach.
Yeah.
So they're like, every time they reference
Just to
it,
freak
they're
them
like,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe an open air, screening down there.
Final question for you guys. The other day in the Q&A, you mentioned that it all kind of started with a visual of this abandoned tent.
Yeah.
When you think about projects, everyone has like a certain visual that pops up first.
Yeah.
So just wondering for each of you, when you think about the movie, what still frame kind of pops into mind and where you were and what significance that had?
It's the shot where we were following Ollie through the forest, where the little toddler's just kind of walking away from us. Because a lot of this film is about my own fears and anxieties about my kids, and of course on the day on the set, Mum is just off camera and everybody's there, but just seeing him so alone in the forest is so kind of heart-wrenching. Just as a pure visual, I think about that. I think that kind of encompasses, some of the anxieties of the film in a way.
Yeah, for me it's like the biggest scene that I was part of in the film, and I don't know, I can't really describe it because I don't want to spoil it. It's, for me, there was a scene that we did that we played it in a real wide shot, and it's a bit like you were describing the landscape of the bush and the rocks, and it's kind of a scene where the family that I'm part of we're in the aftermath of what's happened, and you kind of get the whole story in this one image. And we played that scene, I think you said it ran for like 10 minutes in the wide?
Yeah, so we played an entire master of that scene. So we had I don't know how long the track was, but it was pretty long. So we went up, we went back, we went up, we went back.
It was amazing as an actor, and I felt like I was in a painting, because you just have this incredible sense of landscape and these small figures, these victims and perpetrators, and you get the whole story in this one image. To me, it's just quite...
Yeah. I've got it. No, I was going to say, when you said the shot of the toddler is amazing. It's my favourite shot in the whole film. And but to go on off that as well, it's the setup at the start from when you're talking about the Impressionist paintings. I find the titles just set the tone of the whole film really well. It's just the landscape, animals, trees with ants crawling up, there's a tree branch with a rope hanging over it, car, and it's almost like a encompassing set of paintings of the whole story that goes on, and I think it just sets the tone of what's about to come so well.
Yeah, and that was I wanted to have a little journey through those titles. So we start up high in the trees, and then we get lower and down and closer to the tent and the car. And I think at the end, you can kind of look back on the title sequence and not know exactly when it occurs. It can be where they're going, where they're, before Sam and Ian arrive, or it could be afterwards. And I feel like it kind of, it's serene, yet there's something uneasy about that. And I think hopefully it kind of also plays into what we did with the timelines in terms of mixing that up. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for spending a few minutes up here. Pleasure to chat with you.
Yeah, no.